The Accountability Multiplier. Welcome to the Accountability Multiplier, a course designed to help build a culture of ownership that drives exceptional performance across teams and organizations. At its core, this course introduces the powerful concept of accountability not as a tool of blame or control, but as a catalyst for alignment, integrity, and execution. True accountability means individuals take full ownership of their outcomes, enabling leaders to delegate confidently and empowering teams to move faster and deliver consistent results. High performance doesn't arise by accident. It's engineered through culture, leadership, and mindset. When accountability is multiplied across an organization, it becomes a force multiplier. Culture times ownership times execution equals results that surpass expectations. Through this course, you'll learn how to embed accountability into your daily practices, shift mindsets, and overcome common barriers that get in the way. Whether you're a recent engineering graduate or a new team lead, understanding accountability will be foundational to your success. Agenda. Here's what we'll cover in this course on building a high accountability culture. First, we'll define what accountability truly means in high-performance settings, going beyond surface-level compliance or task tracking. Then, we'll examine why accountability has a multiplying effect on organizational performance, trust, and execution. Next, we'll compare accountability with compliance to highlight their fundamentally different drivers and outcomes. From there, we'll dive deep into the 5 essential pillars that support a culture of ownership. Each of these pillars plays a unique role in helping teams and leaders operate with clarity, commitment, and follow-through. We'll then explore how to practically embed accountability into daily workflows using tools, routines, and shared systems. After that, we'll examine the critical mindset shift from control to empowerment that helps accountability thrive. We'll also address the most common barriers that hinder accountability and provide actionable strategies to overcome them. Finally, we'll wrap up with a reflective conclusion and group discussion questions to reinforce learning. Introduction. Why accountability matters. Accountability, when properly understood, is one of the most powerful performance drivers in any organization. It's not about blame, micromanagement, or punishment. Rather, accountability is built on ownership, alignment, and the consistent execution of commitments. When accountability is deeply embedded in the culture, 3 key outcomes emerge. Teams move faster because they operate with clarity and autonomy. Leaders delegate more confidently, knowing commitments will be honored, and goals are met more consistently and with integrity. These outcomes are not accidental. They are the result of leaders who intentionally cultivate accountability as a multiplier. The Accountability Multiplier is a formula: culture x ownership x execution. Strong organizational culture, combined with individual ownership and consistent execution, leads to sustainable high performance. This course is about equipping you with the mindset, tools, and practices to build that kind of culture, where every team member, regardless of role, acts as an owner and drives results. What is accountability? Really? True accountability in high-performance cultures is more than task completion. It means taking full ownership of outcomes, not just checking off responsibilities. Individuals who are truly accountable follow through on their commitments without needing reminders or supervision. They own both their successes and their failures, without making excuses or casting blame. Perhaps most importantly, they don't wait to be told what to do. They proactively seek solutions, anticipate obstacles, and move forward with initiative. This proactive ownership mindset bridges the gap between good intentions and real execution. As the quote says, accountability is the bridge between intention and execution. Without that bridge, great ideas stall and goals remain unmet. In technical fields like engineering and science, where precision, timelines, and quality matter, accountability ensures that the work doesn't just get started, it gets finished, and finished well. This definition of accountability sets the stage for the skills you'll develop in the rest of the course. The power of accountability. Performance benefits. An accountable culture delivers performance benefits that far exceed individual contributions. First, trust increases. When people consistently do what they say they'll do, relationships strengthen and teams operate with psychological safety. Second, speed improves. Leaders no longer waste time chasing follow-ups or clarifying expectations. Projects move faster. Third, engagement rises. People feel a sense of ownership and responsibility, which energizes them and leads to deeper commitment. And fourth, results improve. The focus shifts from mere effort to measurable impact. On the flip side, a lack of accountability sabotages even the best strategies. Without clear ownership, execution falters, follow-through becomes inconsistent, and outcomes suffer. This gap between planning and action creates delays, missed goals, and friction across teams. In a high-stakes technical environment, performance depends on everyone pulling in the same direction and delivering on promises. That's why accountability acts as a multiplier. It strengthens the foundation that makes fast, strong, and consistent performance possible. Accountability versus compliance. Let's clarify a key distinction. Accountability is not the same as compliance. Compliance is doing what you're told. It's externally driven, often by authority, rules, or fear. It's reactive and typically focused on avoiding blame or punishment. Compliance can check boxes, but it rarely drives innovation or ownership. Accountability, by contrast, is internally driven. It means owning outcomes, not just tasks. It's motivated by purpose, values, and a proactive mindset. True accountability involves taking responsibility even when things go wrong, without finger-pointing. It involves going above and beyond the minimum, because you care about the result. While compliance can be enforced, accountability must be inspired. That's a crucial insight for leadership. If your culture emphasizes rules and control, you might get short-term obedience. But if you want long-term excellence and growth, you need a team of owners, not rule followers. Accountability creates a stronger, more resilient organization that can adapt, innovate, and execute at a high level. Introducing the 5 pillars of a culture of ownership. Building a true culture of accountability requires more than slogans. It depends on 5 foundational pillars. First is clear expectations. People must understand what's expected of them in terms of outcomes, roles, and timelines. Second is shared purpose. When individuals connect their work to a larger mission, their motivation deepens and ownership becomes internal. Third is feedback and follow-through. Accountability thrives on real-time communication, continuous learning, and direct conversations. Fourth is consequences and recognition. Reinforcing good behavior and addressing missed commitments maintains a culture of integrity. And finally, fifth is role modeling from the top. Leaders must consistently walk the talk, demonstrating the behaviors they expect from others. These 5 pillars work together to create an environment where people step up, take ownership, and deliver results. Over the next 5 modules, we'll examine each pillar in detail and show how they can be activated inside technical teams to build a robust culture of ownership. Pillar 1. Clear expectations. The first pillar of accountability is clarity. People can't take ownership of what they don't fully understand. Clear expectations begin with answering key questions. What is the desired outcome? What does success look like? Who owns each piece? And by when should it be done? Without these answers, confusion takes over, and accountability fades. Vague instructions like, "do your best," are not enough. Instead, specific outcome-driven goals set a clear path forward. For example, rather than saying track metrics, clarify it with deliver the Q3 metrics dashboard by August 15th, formatted for executive presentation. That level of specificity removes ambiguity and empowers people to act decisively. It also prevents unnecessary rework and ensures alignment across teams. Especially in technical environments, where precision matters, vague goals are costly. Clear expectations are the foundation of trust, ownership, and performance. Leaders who consistently define expectations help their teams step into accountability with confidence and direction. Pillar 2. Shared purpose. The second pillar is shared purpose. When individuals see how their work contributes to a larger mission, they become more motivated and self-directed. This is especially important in engineering or scientific settings, where tasks can become highly specialized. The key is to connect those tasks to a broader business or customer impact. Ask, why does this work matter? How does it contribute to the bigger picture? What values does it reinforce? Answering these questions transforms the task from a chore into a mission. When people understand the why behind their role, they regulate themselves, hold themselves to a higher standard, and care more about the outcomes. Leaders should consistently tie team goals to organizational success and reinforce this connection often. The result is a workforce that doesn't just execute, they believe in what they're doing. Shared purpose transforms compliance into commitment and builds a culture where ownership becomes personal and intrinsic. Pillar 3. Feedback and follow-through. The third pillar is feedback and follow-through. Accountability doesn't happen once a year in performance reviews. It lives in everyday interactions. Regular feedback keeps commitments alive and ensures that small issues don't grow into big problems. Leaders must acknowledge progress, celebrate milestones, and address shortfalls promptly. Feedback should be timely and respectful, focusing on learning and improvement, not judgment. When things go wrong, don't avoid difficult conversations. Instead, ask reflective questions like, "What happened?" or "What will you do differently next time?" These conversations spark growth. Use feed-forward techniques that emphasize future behavior instead of dwelling on past mistakes. This makes feedback constructive and empowering. A strong feedback culture turns accountability into a living system. Commit, feedback, improve. Without follow-through, commitments fade. But with ongoing communication and improvement, individuals and teams stay aligned, build trust, and grow stronger over time. Consistent feedback is how accountability matures into high performance. Pillar 4. Consequences and recognition. Accountability requires both reinforcement and response. When ownership is recognized and rewarded, it becomes the standard. When missed commitments go unaddressed, accountability weakens. Positive reinforcement means publicly celebrating those who consistently deliver. Recognition boosts morale, builds motivation, and shows that ownership matters. It's not about ego, it's about appreciation. On the other hand, when commitments are missed, they must be addressed respectfully but directly. Delay sends the message that standards are optional. Apply consequences proportionately and consistently, focusing on learning and improvement. A culture that balances recognition and accountability creates psychological safety and performance integrity. As a leadership tip, celebrate wins publicly to reinforce team values, but address setbacks privately and constructively to preserve dignity. Remember the principle: what gets recognized gets repeated. What gets tolerated becomes the standard. If you want a culture of excellence, you must visibly honor ownership and never allow avoidance or excuses to become the norm. Pillar 5. Role modeling from the top. The fifth and final pillar is role modeling. Leaders must embody the behaviors they expect. If a leader misses deadlines, avoids feedback, or shifts blame, those behaviors will cascade down to the team. But when leaders consistently honor their commitments, have hard conversations, and take responsibility, they inspire others to do the same. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in your charge. That means showing courage, humility, and consistency. Admit mistakes openly. Hold yourself to high standards. Demonstrate follow-through. When team members see their leaders operating with integrity and ownership, they feel safe and motivated to follow suit. In technical environments where collaboration, timing, and precision are essential, leadership by example is one of the most powerful forms of accountability. If you want a culture of ownership, it has to start at the top. Your behavior sets the ceiling and the floor for everyone around you. How to build accountability into daily workflow. Embedding accountability into daily work requires routine, visibility, and structure. Start meetings with clarity. Who owns what? Define responsibilities up front. Then, end meetings by assigning clear owners, deadlines, and next steps. This makes sure that no decision gets lost in discussion. Use shared tools and dashboards, like Jira, Asana, Monday.com, or Excel trackers, to keep commitments visible and transparent. This promotes shared accountability without micromanagement. Additionally, implement regular commitment check-ins, weekly or bi-weekly prompts that ask, "What did I commit to? Did I deliver? If not, why? And what's my next step?" These reflections ensure follow-through and reduce excuses. Without routines, accountability fades. But when built into daily habits, accountability becomes second nature. Especially in fast-moving technical teams, where precision and timing matter, consistent workflows are essential. Follow-through isn't optional, it's foundational. By making ownership part of how the team operates every day, accountability becomes a habit, not a heroic act. The mindset shift, accountability as empowerment. To unlock real accountability, leaders must shift the mindset from control to empowerment. When accountability is framed as surveillance, people resist. But when it's framed as trust, people engage. Accountability should feel like, "I'm trusted to make an impact," not, "I'm being watched so I don't screw up." Empowerment means encouraging people to own solutions, not just problems. It means involving them in setting goals, solving challenges, and making decisions. It also means providing coaching and support, not just critique. This mindset shift unlocks innovation and initiative. It creates a culture where people feel psychologically safe to take risks, speak up, and go the extra mile. In scientific and technical fields, empowerment fosters creative problem-solving and resilient execution. Leaders must ask, are we empowering people to act like owners, or are we controlling them into compliance? The answer determines whether accountability becomes a source of energy or a drain on morale. Overcoming common barriers. Despite best intentions, many organizations struggle to maintain accountability. 4 common barriers stand in the way. First is fear of conflict. Leaders often avoid accountability conversations to preserve harmony, but this erodes standards. The solution is to normalize direct, respectful feedback. Second is lack of follow-up. When leaders don't revisit commitments, people assume they don't matter. Build routines that ensure regular check-ins. Third is vague goals. Without clear metrics and deadlines, excuses and finger-pointing emerge. The fix is to clarify expectations at the outset. Fourth is blame culture. If people fear punishment, they hide mistakes. To change this, promote a learning culture where errors become insights. Every one of these barriers is solvable with consistent leadership. Accountability isn't about perfection. It's about intention, clarity, and follow-through. Leaders who tackle these barriers head-on build teams that are more resilient, more engaged, and more effective. And that's how real ownership becomes embedded in the culture. Practical examples and visuals. Let's bring it all together with tools that reinforce accountability in action. First, the responsibility matrix is a simple yet powerful tool to define who is accountable for what. It removes ambiguity and builds confidence. Second, the accountability dashboard allows teams to visually track commitments, what's on time, what's complete, and what's at risk. Seeing progress in real time promotes shared ownership. Third, an effective meeting workflow supports daily accountability. Begin meetings by reviewing past commitments, then align on today's agenda, and end with clear assignments. Who does what by when? Finally, recommended tools like Asana, Monday.com, Trello, Jira, or Excel trackers help embed these practices into your workflow. When used well, these systems don't add bureaucracy, they eliminate friction. In technical teams, where precision and timelines are essential, these tools reduce miscommunication and enable high performance. Accountability is a system. Use these tools to support behavior change and reinforce ownership across your organization. Conclusion: the Accountability Multiplier. Accountability is not micromanagement. It's shared commitment, clear ownership, and mutual trust. When leaders intentionally cultivate a culture of accountability, they unlock a multiplier effect. Team members take initiative without needing constant direction. Execution becomes faster because less time is wasted on chasing follow-ups. Standards rise, with excellence becoming the norm instead of the exception. And teams develop resilience, adapting to change and overcoming challenges proactively. The true power of accountability lies in its ability to grow leaders, not just deliver results. When people feel responsible, supported, and trusted, they don't just complete tasks, they rise. As you reflect, ask yourself, do your team members know what they're accountable for? How clearly are you following up on commitments? And how can you model accountability more consistently? Your answers to these questions will shape the culture around you. The Accountability Multiplier is not a theory. It's a daily practice that begins with leadership and spreads through action. Reflection and discussion questions. Let's take a moment to pause and reflect on 3 powerful questions that can help elevate accountability across your team. First, do your team members know what they're accountable for? Think about the clarity of your expectations. Is it obvious to each person what their key responsibilities and priorities are? Can they confidently articulate those responsibilities to others? If expectations are vague or inconsistent, accountability suffers. It all starts with clarity. Next, how consistently do you follow up on commitments? Accountability is built through regular, deliberate follow-up. Are you tracking what matters most? Do you have a process in place to ensure feedback loops are closed and that progress is measured and communicated? Inconsistent follow-through sends mixed signals and undermines trust. Finally, how can you better model accountability daily? Leadership is about setting the tone. What behaviors do you demonstrate that show accountability in action? Are you owning your outcomes, being transparent, and holding yourself to the same standards you expect of others? Take 5 minutes to reflect on each question, then discuss your thoughts with your group or team at work.